is writing linear equations. This is going to be part 1 of our lessons this week, so it's 5.1. Our essential question is to explain how to write an equation for a line when you know the slope and a point on the line. So we're going to be still working with slope-intercept form, and just as an example, we have y equals mx plus b is our slope-intercept form, where m is the slope and b is your y-intercept. A y-intercept, remember, x is going to be 0 at a y-intercept, so it can be the point 0, comma, and then whatever number b is going to be your coordinate there. Okay, so 0, comma, the b value will give you your point for your y-intercept. So that's what we're going to be working with today. All right, so for the first problem that we're going to work out, we want to write the equation of a line. So write the equation of a line with slope of -1/2 and the point 2, 0 on that line. Okay, so we have an equation, it has a slope of 1/2, and then there is a point on that line where it touches at 2, 0. Okay, so what we're going to do, remember to write our equation, we need to know the slope and we need to know the y-intercept. So we're going to identify what we already know. So we know that the slope is going to be -1/2. This is my slope, so that's my m value. So we know that m is -1/2. And we need to know my b value, but according to this problem here, we don't know what that is, because this is not in the right form of 0, comma, a number. It's opposite of that. But we do know that 2 is an x value and 0 is a y value on that equation. Okay, so we know that. So we're going to go ahead and start with our equation that we know, which is the same one as up here, y equals mx plus b. And we're going to fill in what we already know. So that's step 1. Fill in what you know. Okay, so what we know so far is that my m value is -1/2. So where my m is, I know this is going to be -1/2. I know one x value for this is going to be x. So my 2 is going to go right here. I don't know what b is, so it's plus b. And then I have a y value of 0. So I'm going to use the point as an x and a y value for this equation and plug it in. So I have 0 equals 1/2, which was my slope, times x, which is 2 for this example point I have, plus b. The second step you're going to do, step 2, is we are going to solve for b. Because we need to know what that b value is to write our final equation. So to do that, we're going to go ahead and start simplifying. The 0 on this side of the equation here, I can't really do anything to that, so I'm going to leave that 0. -1/2 times 2, I can go ahead and multiply -1 times 2 gives me -2 over 2, because I'm just multiplying straight across, plus b. I can reduce that fraction down to -1, so I'm going to rewrite that. So I have 0 equals -1 plus b. Now I have a one-step equation. I'm still solving for b, so here's my balancing point still, and I want to get that 1 to the other side to get b by itself. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and b is equal to 0 plus 1, which is 1. So my b value is 1, so I'm going to put that up here. My b value is 1. So now my final step step 3 is to write the equation with the slope and b that we found. So the slope and b. Let me move my camera down a little bit here. So if this equation has an m value of -1/2 and a b value of 1, when I write my equation, I'm still using y equals mx plus b for my equation of the line. Remember that the point that we plugged in is just one point on that line. So there are many points that would make this true, but we know that the slope in the b value is going to give us our actual equation. So my m value will go here, my b value will be substituted for b. So my final answer for this equation is going to be y is equal to -1/2 x plus 1. And that's my final answer. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and look at the homework and do another one so that we can make sure that you're understanding it. So let me switch this out. So on your homework, you have 20 problems that you're going through, and you are given a point and a slope, just like the example. Number 1 is actually the example from your notes. So I'm going to write C notes here to remind you to go back and look at your notes. And then let's go ahead and look at number 2. So we have our point 4, -5. Remember, 4 is my x value, y is going to be -5, or -5 is my y value. And then my slope is my m, okay? At the top of your paper, go ahead and write y equals mx plus b, because that is what we are working with today. So let's go ahead and follow our steps that we wrote in our notes. So step 1, fill in what we know. So if we're using y equals mx plus b, we know that the y value is -5, my m value is -2, my x value is 4 plus b, because we do not know what b is. So now we're going to go ahead and do step 2, which is to solve for b. So let's simplify the -5. I can't simplify that, but I can simplify -2 times 4 gives me -8 plus b. And then to solve for b, here's my balancing point. I want to add 8 to both sides. These cancel out. So -5 plus 8 gives me 3. I wish I had room here. I'm going to write it over to the side. So I'm going to get b is equal to, I'll write backwards here, -5 plus 8 is going to give me 3. So my b is going to be equal to 3, or 3 equals b. And now I can go ahead and write my equation. So my final answer, my equation, I have to have it in this form here, is going to be y equals m, which is -2, -2x plus 3, because that was my b value. So here's my final answer. So what that means is for any number of x that I put into this equation, I can find another y value, or another point that's going to be on my graph. So tonight for homework, you're going to do the even problems, actually do the odds, and then the evens. You basically have 2 days to complete the entire worksheet, but you can break it up into halves. So do one half and then the other half. Let me know if you have any additional questions.